One of the most repeated promises of AI is that it will give us time back. It can draft the email, summarize the meeting, analyze the information, update the system, and complete in minutes what may previously have taken hours. But saving time is not the same as having more time. When we remove one task, many of us simply replace it with another. We respond to more messages, create more content, take on more clients, attend more meetings, or increase the amount we expect ourselves to achieve. Welcome to this week's episode of Make Time, where I'll be exploring how AI can give you time back, but it can't decide what that time is for. I'm your host, Sam, and I'm passionate about helping you and your business thrive by building a business system that works for you so you can focus on what matters to you. And thanks for joining me this week. I'm just as guilty here. I believe that hard work is about putting that time in. But when I first started developing research around the human and leadership capabilities that impacted business success, alongside the business and digital capabilities, I started to notice a pattern, and one that hit close to home. Busyness was a mask for something deeper, in my case, a sense of my own value, so that when I implemented an AI native system to run the business with the view that this would create significant efficiencies and reduce time in the business, I filled up my time going above and beyond what I did before. The space disappeared almost as quickly as it was created. And I'm not alone here, albeit there may be different underlying reasons for it, but it's partly because our working lives are shaped by systems that reward output, so we strive to create more outputs. At work, we measure what's easy to count, like hours worked, emails answered, meetings attended, calls made, reports produced, clients processed, billable hours recorded, sales closed, tasks completed, content published. You get the idea. These measures are not necessarily meaningless. The problem is that they can become proxies for contribution. Now, proxy is a substitute used to represent a specific function or thing. So we're substituting these things for our sense of contribution, our sense of value. Someone who answers messages immediately may appear more committed than someone who takes time to solve the underlying problem. Someone with a full calendar can appear more important than someone who's designed a team that needs fewer meetings. In some environments, responsiveness itself becomes a performance signal. Research on work email describes pressures including high email load, disruption, and an expectation of regulation and rapid response. Smartphone research also consistently links work-related use outside working hours with greater work-life conflict. This creates strange incentives. Fixing 10 customer complaints is visible. Redesigning the process so the complaints never occur may be less visible. Working late to rescue a project is celebrated. Planning it properly so no rescue is needed may pass unnoticed. Producing a 40-page report demonstrates effort. Making one clear decision may look too simple. Attending every meeting signals involvement. Removing unnecessary meetings can look like disengagement. Answering immediately signals dedication. Thinking carefully before responding may appear slow. A consultant billing 10 hours earns more than one who solves a problem in 2. A business owner who's constantly required feels essential. One whose business functions without them may initially feel less needed. A company empowering business owners to build their own capabilities rather than be reliant on others may not be considered valuable because effectively the business owner feels like they did it all themselves. This means efficiency can carry an emotional and professional penalty. When people finish early, they're frequently given more work rather than more freedom. A caveat here is that the finishing early is finishing early and doing a great job rather than a rush or a hack job. Business owners are particularly vulnerable because there's no external limit on what counts as enough. More capacity can immediately become another service or another marketing channel, more frequent content or faster customer response times, more personalization, additional reporting, more clients, a new program or platform, more ambitious revenue targets. AI may reduce the time required to write a weekly newsletter or content itself, but instead of recovering 2 hours, the owner may decide to produce another newsletter or do some more content or 3 social posts, a video, a podcast, and a lead magnet. The original task becomes quicker, but the overall content system becomes larger. We also reward output through status language. She's so productive, or he never stops, or they're absolutely flat out. Well, she's built so much. He's always available. They have 10 projects running. Meanwhile, rest, reflection, care, thinking, and presence are harder to display and measure. They may be highly valuable, but they leave fewer visible artifacts. That's one reason busyness becomes tied to identity. It gives people continual evidence that they're contributing. And we've seen the introduction of new technology with the assumption that they'd make tasks faster and easier or less physically demanding before. When the washing machine was introduced, they dramatically reduced the physical labor involved in washing clothes. Vacuum cleaners, refrigerators, dishwashers, and other appliances also changed domestic work. And housework did decline substantially over the 20th century. One historical estimate suggests average household work fell from around 58 hours a week in 1900 to 18 hours by 1975. But the result was not simply vast amount of leisure. Several things happened. Clothes were washed more frequently. Standards of cleanliness increased. Households owned more clothing and household goods. Some paid domestic labour was replaced by unpaid household labour using appliances. Time was redirected into childcare, shopping, and paid employment. Historical research has observed that washing machines didn't necessarily save as much time as expected because clothes came to be washed more often. So the appliance reduced the effort required for one load of washing, but society responded by raising the expected frequency and standard of washing. And that's an excellent analogy for AI. When the cost of producing something falls, we often demand more of it. Email was faster than letters. It allowed information to move instantly and asynchronously. It undoubtedly saved time on individual communications, but it also made communication so inexpensive that the volume exploded. Messages that might never have justified a letter, a memo, or a phone call could now be sent instantly to multiple people. It didn't merely replace existing communication, it generated an entirely new layer of communication work. Mobile phones are supposed to free us from desks and fixed locations. Smartphones then placed email, calendars, documents, banking, maps, communication in one portable device. And it did create flexibility, but also removed many of the natural boundaries that previously ended the working day. Work could now follow people onto the train, into the home, onto holidays, into the evening, into bed, into every small gap in the day, while you're breastfeeding, on maternity leave. A review of research on work-related smartphone use outside working hours found that 19 of 23 included studies reported a significant association with increased work-life conflict. The device freed us from the office, but it also freed work from the office too. It's the same video conferencing, digital platforms like CRMs, the internet, online banking. I could go on. The recurring pattern, though, across all examples is that the new technology did save time, but then we demanded more of it. With AI, because we feel we can produce more content, we'll start publishing every day. We can analyze data at speed, so we start analyzing everything. We can personalize, so we start personalizing everything. We can develop apps and products, so we design more and launch more. Technology creates this capacity. But culture, ownership, power, and personal choice determine where that capacity goes. AI may save us time at the level of the task, while our expectations consume it at the level of the system. Unless we make a conscious decision about where the benefits of AI should go, they'll probably be absorbed into higher expectations. And if busyness is a personal obstacle, because business can make us feel useful, it can make us feel needed, important, or safe, help us avoid difficult decisions, and it can prevent us from asking whether the work we're doing still matters to us, then AI will make us more busy if we don't address that first. For some people, being busy has become part of their identity. When someone asks how things are going, saying busy can feel like evidence that the busyness is successful and that we are valuable. A full calendar gives us something measurable. Space can feel far less comfortable. So when AI removes some of the work, it may also expose what the work was doing for us. Without the constant stream of tasks, we may have to confront questions we've been too busy to answer. Like, what do I actually want? What is enough? What kind of business am I trying to build? What role do I want work to play in my life? What would I do if my value was not measured by how much I produced? AI can't answer these questions for us. It may help us think them through, it may help us see patterns, explore options, or understand the consequences of different decisions, but it can't decide what a meaningful life or a successful business looks like for you, for us, for me, because that choice remains human. Some people will use AI to build things that would once have required enormous teams and resources. They'll solve complex problems, create new products, enter new markets, and pursue ambitions that previously felt impossible. Some will use it to earn the same amount while working fewer hours. They may spend more time with their families, make art, care for others, contribute to their communities, or simply live at a less exhausting pace. Some will use the time to think more deeply, make better decisions, and become more intentional leaders. Others will use AI to produce more, work faster, and increase the expectations placed on themselves and everyone around them. And some businesses will adopt the tools without changing very much at all. The technology will be added to existing habits, processes, and assumptions, and life will continue much as it did before. None of these outcomes is created by the technology alone. AI is an amplifier. It can amplify ambition, creativity, and impact. It can also amplify urgency, overwork, and the belief that more is always better. This is why AI adoption can't be a discussion about tools, automation, and efficiency. It also needs to be a discussion about agency. Before deciding what to automate, we need to decide what we're trying to create. Before asking how much more we can produce, we need to ask whether producing more is actually the goal. Before filling the space AI creates, we need to consider whether that space might be valuable in itself. The real opportunity is not simply to do the same work faster. It's also to reconsider the work, the business, and perhaps even the life we've built around it. AI may give us time back, but what happens next depends on the choices we make. If you want further help to develop your decision-making and thinking skills as the captain of your own ship, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on our weekly newsletter. If you're ready for a structured process to develop yourself and your business whilst building an AI-enabled business system, the Next Level Growth Program is for you, and we'll put the links in the show notes. So the question I'll leave you with this week is, what do you want to do with that time? Thanks for joining me on this week's episode, and I hope to see you next week.